So I'm very happy here to talk here and to stay among with you all for this 1 hour online session. Or this is a meeting where we can explore our true selves, or we can understand the ideas and newer thoughts of the speakers as well. So the first thing is, the topic is Theosophy, the Theosophical Society and the world. This is not any a topic that has to be referred from encyclopedia or Wikipedia or whatever web pages if you have. The thing is, this topic is very abstract. That is, any topic that can be condensed into various forms is called an abstract topic. So here, an avid reader of theosophical text can understand theosophy, the Theosophical Society, and the world into a literature context. A spiritual thinker can understand as the roots of Theosophical Society and its existence. A business-minded person can understand this theosophy, the Theosophical Society, and the world as a context of how this society can be marketed over the world. So this is a topic that can be thought according to the perception of the speaker. So open our minds and broaden our thoughts so that one can understand this topic visually, clearly, and better in the terms of understanding the lines of the speaker. That is most important. Often what we do is we listen the topic and we think that we understand the topic, but we don't match the lines of the speaker. That is one of the most underlining facts that I have to mention before starting this seminar by the speakers. Because whenever a speaker tries to conduct a topic, whenever a speaker tries to mention some of the fact or some of the statement that he has to deliver to you, it is our duty to take it as a response statement. What is a response statement? Whenever we talk, whenever we listen, there is an instinct reaction by the brain to collect and to recollect and to think. This is done primarily in the first 1 hour session. After 1 hour, we forget that. That is the incorrect part. The thing is, we have to collect, recollect. That is the first stage. Then we have to process and stabilize our brain so that whenever we get to a scenario, we use that information or we use that process of information to enhance our brains better. So Theosophy, Theosophical Society, and the world, these three terms are three different parts of speech. For example, Theosophy. Theosophy is an adjective. Theosophical Society is a proper noun. And world, it can be a proper noun and as an action form, as verb as well. So these three are three manifestations of us as a Theosophical Society member. It is our sole duty and responsibility to be responsible to the society. Not anyone, not your family, not your federation, but you in you. So Theosophical Society is an organization that is laid from late 1875 and it is still there. It is going to be there. But the thing is, the relevance and the importance and the influence, these three terms should be the catchwords of the next 25 years or so. Relevance, importance, and influence. These three words will change the life of Theosophical Society. To explore more, to understand more, to think more, we have got three good speakers, three speakers who can give that insight to our mind and thought and give us that right amount of reflection. So, indeed, it's my privilege to welcome the first speaker of the session, Mr. Ajeesh Kumar from Kerala. So, before I welcome, I would like to give a short introduction of Mr. Ajeesh Kumar. Brother Ajeesh Kumar had completed his graduation and PG in BSc Maths and MCA respectively. Working as regional business manager in Elma Biocare Private Limited, he also started Upasika Publishing House, that is a Theosophical Publishing House in Malayalam language. And he also formed this TS Info Center. He's doing a great job and the websites are as following. You can check into the websites of the Kerala Telugu Federation, such as keralatheosophist.org, that is KERALA, theosophist.org. The second one is Upasika, UPASIKA, publishinghouse.com, upasikapublishinghouse.com. Brother Ajeesh Kumar is doing a great job in his respective Theosophical Society Federation, and now I first welcome with my deep congratulations, or whatever, with my heart feeling congratulations, I welcome Brother Ajeesh Kumar to take over the meeting. Brother Ajeesh.
Thank you, brother. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Hello?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity for participating in this great work, especially to Pradeep sir, and motivated by Dr. Devendra sir and Dinagaran sir from Kerala, and also Vishwakumar sir. Thank you. Can I start? Hello?
Yeah, you can start.
Hello?
You can start.
Okay. Dear brothers and sisters, Theosophy. Theosophy means the divine wisdom. The word theo in Greek means God. Hence, if we discuss the Theosophy with the public or to a new person, they correlated Theosophy with theology, and they suddenly create a concept in their mind, and it is something about God, or a new missionary is in front of them. Then they first tell us, yes, we have heard about it and I know about it. Many people told me, yes, I know Theosophy. I have studied Theosophy. After some discussion, I understood that that person carry the word theology in his mind and discuss about theology when we are discussing Theosophy. So, while I got an opportunity to talk about Theosophy, or if someone asked me what is Theosophy, I used to use only the term the divine wisdom, or science, or something related to truth, or directly go to Theosophical Society's emblem. There is no religion higher than truth, or the three declared objects of Theosophy. The origin of the word Theosophy is from Alexandrian philosophers who were called lovers of truth. If you are a member of Theosophical Society, it is also mean that you are a philosopher. The fundamental task of the philosopher is the realization of his own self, and man who sought to improve himself had to fight, regulate his own nature, controlling his passion and emotions, and eliminate the gap between the theory and practice. He was thus supposed to approach the perfection of God. As a theosophist, I know that people of our society are very much prejudiced. It is easy to learn, but it is very difficult to unlearn. Without learning, we cannot learn new things. Without unlearning, we cannot learn new things. So, one person who carries the word theo from Greek word God. And if we discuss the theosophy,
Specifically, body of Father in village industry condition, which was created with the question of Father. Brahmin painting of the local setup in October 1953. The father of Ajeesh Kumar, analysis Dr. Muhammad Lucas. The world then came into existence in 1954.
I request the other participants to please unmute yourself so that the speaker can continue.
God, their own God, their God, that created their own God in their mind. If someone is not ready to unlearn what is stored up in his brain about God, he added his own new God data to the same memory storage array. So, as a theosophist, while I discuss theosophy, I always use the word truth. Someone asked me, what is theosophy? I told them, it is the study of truth. After that, we can see on their face something beyond God. Then they think beyond God. There is something that is true. Then I usually go next question from them. What is truth? Is it related to Bible? That time I used to say Sanskrit word Satyam Nasti Paru Dharma. Then there is no religion higher than truth. I mean that truth. Most of the time I find the listener's face turned to thinking face. Then only I discuss about theosophy, the divine wisdom. If the listener is a religious oriented person, I used to talk there is truth which gathered all, or if the listener is a scientific oriented youth person, I used to talk them then the intelligence which control all. Both are one and the same. As a theosophist, I respect that intelligence. I try to communicate with that intelligence and ready to accept instructions from that intelligence and try to perfectly implement that instructions of that intelligence. Once you break the preconcept of the word God or replace the storage space of God memory with truth, the truth or the supreme divine intelligence, you got a new world. The world is known as Theosophy. Then you got a new question: what is God? What is human? What is humanity? What is science? What is religion? What is divine? What is the meaning of life? Etc. These questions and answers turn to you a real theosophist. The chief aim of the founders was to reconcile all religions, sects, and nations under a common system of ethics based on eternal varieties. To attain divine wisdom, we must work ourselves, study, meditate, and live or practice daily for each moment. Once you touch the frequency or rhythm of the nature, you can easily understand what the purpose of life is. Or here, without the of how or am living or how to live. If we find these answers, it is very easy to live here. Main struggle or suffering of our society is not poverty or diseases, etc. Of course, they too are struggles, but if we understand the real reason behind the suffering, who can work on that, then escape from that suffering. The real suffering of humanity is money for finding food that will help. Their knowledge is essential to eliminate the pain of our society. The, the Theosophy and the Theosophical Society are different, but interrelated. The Theosophy is divine wisdom, but Theosophical Society is only a platform to study about Theosophy. Started at New York, 17th November 1875, and has 3 declared objects: to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, or caste or color; to enhance the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science; to investigate unexplained laws of nature and powers latent in man. And society follows the 3 great truths, which are absolute and which cannot be lost by, but yet may remain silent for the lack of speech. The soul of man is immortal, and his future is further. Future is the future of a thing whose growth and splendor has no limit. The principle which gives life dwells in us and without us, is undying and eternally beneficial, is not heard or seen or smelled, but perceived by the man who desires perceptions. Each man is his own absolute lawgiver, the dispenser of glory or gloom to himself, the decreaser of his life, his reward, his punishment. Theosophical Society is ready to provide all opportunity to learn and achieve the divine wisdom. Theosophy. Theosophical Society is composed of students belong to any religion in the world or to none, who are united by their approval of society's objects. Their bond of union is not the provision of a common belief, but a common search and aspiration for truth in an environment of freedom of thought. The tinted ability to move. If the proportion of the idea of brotherhood on practical basis instead of theoretical lines. The members may be from different religion or to none or even materialistics. Does not matter, but every member must be a philanthropist, that is, love of mankind or humanity. The Theosophical Society is the forerunner of League of Nations and subsequently the UN. The philosophical ideas inculcated in them through Dr. Besant. The very secular foundation of Indian Constitution is inducted to the concept of theosophical principles like adherence to truth. The motto of our nation is Satyameva Jayate. The truth alone conquers. As members of this great organization, it is our duty to uphold these great values inherited to us by our founders and great theosophical leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, brother Ajeesh Kumar. It was a moment of understanding a great good amount of knowledge on the basic parts of theosophy and the theosophical culture. So I now welcome the second speaker for the session, Brother Ajay Kumar Singh. Brother Ajay Kumar Singh was born in the year 1966 and pursued PG Diploma in Mass Communication and Journalism and also Masters in English. Having a professional experience in editing, he worked with Virojgar Daily and Swadeshi magazine for each 3 years respectively. And now currently, he is an active freelance journalist and also helps students for this research work as well. So I now welcome Brother Ajay Kumar Singh from Patna.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me such a good opportunity to speak about theosophy. I want to draw your attention towards the practical meaning of theosophy. I think the realization of God and feel His presence everywhere, from the smallest to the greatest, is the first feeling of theosophy. Theosophy is such a thing which cannot be received from the books, from the library. I think it can be perceived by his own experience and efforts. As I have gone through some books of theosophy and theosophical literatures, some of the books have impressed me much, and I want to give the names. The first book which I have read is The Man and His Body. The next impressive books came to my study life was the autobiography of Dr. Annie Besant. And the third is the Divine Law. Divine Law has given me the real concept of theosophy, spiritual life, and its relevance to the society. I think the relevance of theosophy, the relevance of truth, which is its the slogan, should be realized throughout the world. As the book has presented some law, the law of periodicity, the law of adjustment, law of essential unity, law of self-unfoldment, law of motion, and law of compassion. The trouble in the world starts when compassion diminishes and self-interest grows so much that the self-interest leads to a man, community, and the nation towards cruelty. The world has experienced excess cruelty when the world had to go through the two world wars, the First World War, Second World War, and whenever we see the books and whenever the student starts his school life, he goes through wars, but nature calls the man, and for the first time, the world has realized the importance of peace. Some persons, or you may say, especially those persons who were the leading character of the world war, gave themselves and put forth the need of compassion. So compassion, I think the law of compassion has its own importance. And compassion can be achieved by means of conscious efforts on their own part, and it is not due to gifts and special favors. This should be clearly understood. It has been established that continuous change is ever going on. Since motion is fundamental law of divine plan, it is obvious then that every being must follow this divine plan, irrespective of its station upon the ladder of life. The being on the lower six rings of the ladder of life followed their cycle journey according to the pattern instituted for them, continuing their evolution unconsciously. However, with commencement of the fourth circling, something different takes place for human kingdom, especially after third period elapsed. A new era is usurped in which, under the special regency of the fundamental law, the law of compassion, to be sure, this does not signify that this law has been operating continuously since the commencement of Manvanta, for the Ajurli has been functioning and will continue so to act throughout the Mahakal Mahapralaya. Just as a spark may promote the stimulus whereby a fire bursts forth, so by means of kindling function, merciful function, or action which the divine ancestors stimulated the fire of mind, aroused the dormant potencies within man. Henceforth, man must pursue his upward progress by means of his own effort, self-motivated, self-propelled, self-determined. He may advance, he may remain, stationary. He may start his own progress or he may descend if he so chooses. With him done rest the decisions. The stimulus has been provided. The choice now rests in his own hand. Nevertheless, because his destiny is self-made, the laws applicable throughout the universe are more directly operative upon the seven rings of the ladder of life, as though intensified by man's awakened potencies and applicable especially in his domain. These laws are those which have been considered first the law of periodicity, manifesting in the particular phase of law of constant renewal, second the law of adjustment, third the law of essential unity, fourth the law of self-unfoldment with the law of motion, and now to be stressed the law of compassion. Law of periodicity stresses the next law which is which has its own importance, the law of periodicity, stresses the necessity for constant renewal. Without this renewal, the force requiring a keep would consume themselves. Therefore, this aspect of continuous refreshment represents a period of activity technically termed a manvantar. A manvantar is represented as an outbreathing of the great breath in the esoteric philosophy. Again, the radical unity of the ultimate essence of each constituent parts of compounds in nature from start to mineral. This is, I think, the law of origin. It starts from mineral atom from the highest Dhyan Chohan to the smallest infusion in the fullest acceptance of the term and, and whether whether applied to a spiritual, intellectual or physical term. This is one of the fundamental law in account in occult science. The deity is boundless and infinite expansion, says occulticism. The doctrine of common origin, the doctrine of common origin for all the heavenly bodies and planets was as we see inculcated by the archaic astronomers before Kepler, Newton, Lubitsch, Kant, Herschel, and Laplace. Heat attraction and repulsion, the three great factors of motion, are the condition under which all the members of all the primitive family are born, developed and die. To, to be reborn after a night of Brahma, during which external matter replaces periodically into the primary undifferentiated state. The law of self-unfoldment conveys the idea that life is already present within the being enabling it to unfold. This impels every entity to impress itself by means of self-unfoldment, hence it may well be regarded as the law of principles which animates man, beast, plant, or even a mineral, certainly is a form of force, undestructible, since this force is one life, the universal living soul. eternal motion, the law of compelled, the eternal motion, the law compelled with the fifth doctrine is actually the sum for continued change, continuous change, implies ceaseless motion, ceaseless activity and ever divinity urge seeking expression which everyone aware of, whether in one's daily activity, in calm, reflective movement, its vain spiritual thought are uppermost. Now there arises, how should man lead his life? Principles is good, but principle is good and becomes relevance when it comes in our life. So I think keeping the principles of theosophy and spiritual laws, we should make our life so that the principle should be displayed and the other persons should see how can a man lead his life. Most of the men believe that theosophy is such a philosophy which is worth to be read, discussed, but it is equally hard to follow. It his morning routine and goes to sleep at retirement. Nor would the wage of karma be extractable were man to birth in union and harmony instead of disunion and strife. As the law of origin says, we all the creatures, irrespective of their belonging, are born from the same source. So naturally, it should be felt first, we are brothers. For our ignorance of this thinking, which is portion of mankind calls the wage of providence and dark and intricate, while another sees in them the action of blind fatalism, and the third simple chance which neither gods nor devils to guide them would surely disappear if we would but attribute all these to their correct cause with the right knowledge, or at any rate with a confident conviction that our neighbors will no more work to hurt us, then we should think of harming them. The two-thirds of the world's evil would vanish into thin air. Were no man to hurt his brothers, karma nemesis would have neither cause to work for nor weapons to act through. It is the constant presence in our minds of every element in strife and opposition and the division of races, nations, tribes, society, and individuals into queens and evils, wolves and lambs, that is the chief cause of the wage of providence. We cut these numerous windings in our destinies daily with our own hands, while we imagine that we are We are pursuing a track on the royal high road of respectability and duty and then complain of those ways being so intricate and so dark. It is the law of occult dynamics that a given amount of energy expended on the spiritual and astral plane is production for greater results than the same amount expended on the physical objective plan of existence. This state will last till man's spiritual intuitions are fully open, which will not happen before we fairly cast off our three coats of matter until we begin acting from within instead of ever following impulses from without, namely those produced by our physical senses and gross selfish body. Until then, the only palliative to the evils of life is union and harmony, a brotherhood in actual and altruism, not simply in name, the suppression of one single bad cause. I think if man has achieved his capacity to suppress his anger, which leads to violence, so thus the suppression of one single bad cause will suppress not only one but variety of bad effects. Sir, I want to draw your attention towards the problem which the world and especially the common people have been perceiving since the beginning of the history. I have seen, and the people read history with great pride. They read French Revolution, they read Russian Revolution, they read religious revolution, they read American War of Independence. They go through the struggled by the slave countries after imperialism. So, if we only adopt compassion and realize the trouble of other life, we can eradicate all these human suffering and woes. It is estimated still that the expense which man has spent on the two world wars is enough to enrich the whole world, and there would be no any sign of suffering here in the world. Sir, thank you. You have given me a chance to speak and express my views. Thank you for your opportunity given by you.
So thank you so much, sir. So the third speaker, Brother Sairam Pate from Telugu Federation. He was born in the year 1991 and pursued Masters in Psychology, Bachelor's in Computer Science and PhD Diploma in Banking Operations. He also had the experience of working with the big private banks such as ICICI and Standard Chartered. He is also a certified career counselor and personality development trainer. He's been on a journey since 2017 to self-explore the limits of himself through the path of taking Theosophy. Having said that, he is also a part of Ananda Lodge, Tadepalligudam, and active member participant of Telugu Federation. So, Brother Sairam Pate, you can take over. Brother Sairam Pate, you can.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Harsha. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, thank you so much. for all the brothers who has organized this seminar and the participants who are going on. And my brothers who has spoken, Ajeesh Kumar and Ajay Kumar Singh, has given a valid points which are contemporary theosophy in the time today. And let me share my thoughts on this topic: theosophy, the Theosophical Society, and the world uh, today. Okay, so in the points which I want to refer here is as you all know, Theosophical Society is founded in 1875 by Helena Petrova Blavatsky, H.S. Alcott, and William Quan Judge, and it was formed and incorporated at Chennai in 1905. As the objective is just to recall, to form a nucleus and universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, and color, to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science, to investigate unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. In Theosophical Society, to be a member, approval of these three objects is the sole condition. No teacher or writer or any founder has an authority to impose his or her teachings or opinions on members. It is the freedom of thought and freedom of religion in which the Theosophical Society has succeeded so far in the past century. Every member has an equal right to follow any school of thought but has no right to force any other person. Since universal brotherhood and the wisdom are undefined and unlimited, since there is complete freedom for each and every member of this Theosophical Society in thought and action, the society seeks ever to maintain its own distinctive, unique character by remaining free of affiliation to any religion or caste or a system of thought and identification with any organization. Of many writings, Blavatsky, Isis Unveiled and Secret Doctrine are the two classic expositions of theosophical doctrines as made as theosophical doctrines. Under Blavatsky and Alcott, theosophy led on terms of Eastern philosophy and wisdom, and esoteric science, occultism. Of all this, after Blavatsky, Annie Besant is one of the key person in the society who who made a significant progress for this theosophical movement from India and over to the world. She has supported a great amount of work and contribution has made to Indian national movement, and she also founded many schools. She traveled and lectured widely and authored numerous books and articles which contain useful information regarding Theosophical Society and its beliefs and objectives. After Besant, many other people has led this society, say Arundel, Jiranandan Dasa, Sriram, Coates, Radha Banier, and at present Tim Boyd is who is leading this Theosophical Society. Generally, what is Theosophical Society today and how human are living in a world? In the present world, in 21st century, people tend to think experience is not relevant measure of a truth. We don't believe that monks meditate themselves happier till it is proven through an MRI or an X-ray report. It is like practical world. During the 18th and 19th centuries, people have evolved and developed many scientific methods, like where we have seen Newton and Einstein and many other people who made discoveries in the physical world, inventions in the physical world. In that way, people tend to think in such a way that to see a progress, we have to see a physical object. In that way, these scans for any problem or a progress in a human being, we generally tend to see a scan or a practical measure. In that physical measure, an Image generally can't tell us how a person is feeling. It is just a reflection of what is happening, but it is not a reflection of a feeling or any pain or joyfulness. So, spirituality or happiness isn't object to put it in the physical world. It is still not the same thing to prove it in the subject of measure. And now let us see how these things we can relate it in the practical life. I want to make it that how theosophy can help us in 21st century. So theosophical society or theosophical knowledge and how it helps us in individual transformation. Theosophy refers to the special knowledge like both of the material cosmos and non-material like God in real world. This special knowledge, as the word Theosophia means Brahma Gyan, God knowledge, reveals not only a connectivity between two real worlds but also a special power to transform the individual. However, one wishes to explain the origins of Theosophical Society. It must be concluded that many, if not all, the founders of society expected to acquire merely theosophical knowledge, but also a practical result of leading individuals' existence and transcendence. So, how can this theosophical knowledge can lead to evolution of humanity? Theosophical society itself is founded during the times, the crisis of humanity. After several cycles, decades, and a handful people's effort who led their lives to raise the vibration of all humanity to the next higher level, the level of consciousness, brotherhood, and the unity of all life. These are the principles on which Theosophical Society led the past century. The evolution of humanity is the evolution of consciousness. William and the founders and Krishnamurti, who is also a close associate of Theosophical Society, emphasized consciousness is everything. Let us not forget it. We are what we think. The mind of humanity is tremendously powerful force capable of creating any reality it can imagine. This is the best of all possible worlds because it presents us with the opportunities to redress past errors, mistakes, and to recreate the past in the present and create more positive, harmonious future. As I am speaking here, consciousness and humanity in the recent times, the past year 2020 has shown us how consciousness and humanity is the very basis for the life we have to experience in 21st century. The virus which has affected the whole human kingdom, not only the whole human kingdom, and it also affected the lives of other creatures on earth and below the earth. It is the opportunity given by nature to change our principles of thought and adopt objectives of theosophy. So, with this, we came to know it is not only the physical world, the mental consciousness, mental health is also really important. So, in that way, it is one such alarm given by nature to rethink on what terms we are living on this earth. With the theosophical principles adapting to our day-to-day life, these fundamental principles enable us to approach and understand universe and ourselves. These principles open an inclusive connection and unity with the life. They reveal a harmony of physical and moral law of affirming meaning. They give recognition to conscious and continuous journey of each being to greater levels of awareness. With this philosophy, we embrace life and lose fear of death. In the vision of time and space are so great, we release all feelings of limits. Our essential task is to transformation of this material world to the spiritual world. And in the other words, we can say we ignore the material knowledge and we adopt spiritual knowledge. The lower sense of separatedness and the higher sense of oneness, a shift from our individual identity to the universal identity, will explain the tools of transition is the laws of compassion. These fundamental principles of Theosophy has now taken their place and demanding attention of the world stage. On the other aspects, they are in the form of environmental friendly. They point on common bond of all the living beings are treated equal, irrespective of religion, creed, and caste or anything. We, as a living organism, we should be respecting every other organism and which has equal right along with human beings. On basis of all religions and the followers of Western religion or the Eastern religions, it is the responsibility to be in a practical world with spiritual knowledge. So, particularly Theosophical Society providing an open platform to share spiritual ideas either from the East or West, from Buddhism to Hinduism, Christianity and Islam, to arise a single identity of the human being. And it is also our responsibility of this generation to adopt the new age schools and new age movement which can be directly traces to the philosophy of Theosophy. The very survival and inspiration of the world rests on these principles and on us. Universal truths doesn't matter until they are true to for us personally. So personal belief, personal practice and personal application can make us near to Theosophy and make this world a really peaceful world. And with this, I end my points and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Brother Sairam Pate. It is indeed thought-provoking session of you, so that you understood the lights of Theosophy and its existence on and after our centuries later as well. So we are out of time actually, but I take another 5 minutes just to sum up the speaker's thoughts and my thoughts as well. So Brother Ajeesh Kumar had talked about the Theosophy, that is the God's wisdom, and he talked about theology and Theosophy and the divine wisdom, and he talked about one such thing that I have to re-talk again. It is the statement like this: it is very easy to learn and difficult to unlearn. That is, he's stressing on the fact that we have to get that sense of open-mindedness so that whenever we get an opportunity, we learn it, and whenever we get an opportunity, we unlearn it and apply the learning part. So it is very important in this current scenario, whether we are applying Theosophy or not, this unlearn and relearn and learning is a way of life. And Brother Ajaya Singh has stressed on the literature aspect of Theosophy, Theosophical Society and the world. He talked about the experience and the efforts of Theosophical culture. And he has specifically mentioned 3 books of his favorite, where I think every reader must go and look at it, at least the summary as well as the insights of the book, as the speaker stressed on it. Those are Man and His Body, Autobiography of Annie Besant, Divine Law. And Brother Ajay Singh also talked about the law of compassion versus self-interest. That is a topic that has to be stressed for a longer period, but having a very less period of 15 minutes or so, we have restricted this topic to a binded session. And for example, any topic as such, law of periodicity, law of adjustment, law of compassion. These laws are specifically, practically, are to be applied by the individual. And I personally feel, I personally feel that, for example, take the example of solar system, the great solar system, which is gigantic in this universe. And in this universe, there are plenty of solar systems, and ours is one. And we have our main body, that is the sun, who is the center of the solar system. And Theosophy, I feel that Theosophy is one such sun. And Adam Blavatsky has said that Theosophy is that blazing sun in which we revolve around. That is, every individual has his own sense of individuality, but in the end, in their mind, the practical application of Theosophy has to be the center. So whenever we project our thoughts, whenever we give our impressions to anyone, whenever we try to influence, the nature is the center that is revolving us. That is, the part which we talk is from the Theosophy, and the individuality is our context. We emit our own light, but the light comes from the inner light, that is Theosophy. That is the whole point of us being the members of Theosophical Society. We have to be not proud, we have to be more responsible, more active, more passionate in terms of providing knowledge, providing enthusiasm, curiosity to the people which we think that they are deserved. That is most important. And meetings, social responsibility, these are a part of life. These are something that are never to be ignored. But thing is, as an individual, we have to look at in a point of view that no one is looking at. That is where we can achieve the amount of progress that no one is even aiming of. So I feel that Theosophical Society and the world can be translated or can be communicated to the future world in 4 bullet points. Those are: we need leaders who can influence, because leadership is one such thing that is inherent to some people, that is made up to some people, that is developed at a later stage to some people. We need to see that all the young brain, all the people who are part of Theosophy are a leader themselves and will always promote leaders to others as well. That is one such thing we need to look at it. And second thing, we need a traditional mindset and a change mindset. We need both of them. That is, we need experience and we need clarity of thought. Those two together can bring a form of change in the coming world. Because Theosophy is an existing subject. We need to just show it in a different way so that the student understands it and reciprocates this way. And the third one, are we trying to address to the whole world, or are we trying to communicate to a niche? In the niche category, I meant to only the Theosophical members or the whole world or the whole community of this world. If our thought, if our clarity of thought is correct, then we would restrict ourselves to a niche. When the niche is so picturized, when the niche is understanding the segments of Theosophy, then we don't need to bother about the world, because in every world there exists a niche category that would influence this world in a whole magnum opus way. And the third and the last one, what is our mission statement? Mission statement I mean that every lodge, every federation, every section should have a statement that would drive them for the next 5 years, that would give them the enthusiasm, curiosity, that would give them the work mindset for the next 5 to 10 years. And that would change time to time, year to year, and person to person. But as I said before, Theosophy is that center sun which should be in our mind. We should never come out of the context, we should never come out of the subject, but we should be the individual self who carries the picture of Theosophy at every point of life. So I really take this opportunity for understanding, for taking this so much time of all the speakers who have shared a beautiful session, and all the participants, all the members who have come here and expressed themselves very in a online platform like this Google Meet and Zoom, it is very difficult for us. But in the times of COVID, in the times of post-COVID, this is a scenario where we have to meet like this. And I thank everyone else